Napoli fans around the world, welcome back to Napoli Talk. Guys, it's been a while since we saw each other, since we were able to do one of these lives together. So, super happy to have you guys all back, and especially since we won, guys. That hasn't happened in a very, very, very long time. So this is something that is good. We've got Vergara scoring goals for fun. However, guys, not everyone. Yes, guys and girls. That's right. There's not just guys on here. There's not just good news, guys. There are some pretty awful news regarding Giovanni Di Lorenzo. It seems like that's the season over for him, guys. Unfortunately, the season just keeps getting darker and darker when it comes to these type of things, when it comes to injuries. Honestly, this goes beyond now any kind of the way that Conte trains and all that. I mean, guys, Di Lorenzo just lands badly, and it is what it is. Look, I've been through it. I had that happen to me. I tore an ACL when I was pretty young, and I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that they're playing too many games. I know Conte said that in the press conference, guys, but I think it's just one of those things that you just land badly, and I don't think having one or two games more or 10 games less really impacts that. I think it's just an unfortunate way that we landed on the field. Yeah, maybe it has more to do with the field itself. I don't know. Maybe this field is unlucky. I have no idea. But yeah, yeah, guys. So, anyways, sorry for taking forever to get the lives back going, and even today, I took forever to get this thing started. But you guys know that I'm on a new laptop. I had to redo everything. Hopefully, some of the graphics, uh, that I've had to change. Hopefully, they give you a little bit more of a freshness feel, and they're a little bit different. So hopefully you guys like it. We'll get to those a little bit later, guys, and make sure that you smash the like button, guys. I went through like 5 hours of work this weekend to get this thing back up and running. Oh, Vergara, says Peter Ryan 8472. Man, Vergara, what a talent. What a talent he is. It's just incredible, right? The amount of wingers that we've had to go through from, after Kvara left, Ngonje, Lang, all these guys, Okafor. We had them all along, guys. We had Vergara all along. I cannot believe that he had to wait for the apocalypse to happen in terms of injuries for him to get some minutes, because how has Conte not been seeing this in training sessions? I mean, he's just an incredible, incredible player, in my opinion. So, yeah. Adi Smadi says, "Congrats on your new laptop." Yes, I mean it's not really an achievement, right? It's more of a cost, I would say. But yeah, thank you for that. It's not like I unlocked a new laptop. But yeah. And Gustavo says, "Congrats on the new laptop." I mean, thanks guys for congratulating me. You guys know that it was stolen, so it feels weird to say congrats. No, but honestly, I want to say thank you to you guys. I mean, part of um, part of how I can kind of keep this up and going even through all these adversaries is because you guys contribute so much to the channel. So thank you as well to you guys. I also have some news about the channel. It's nothing major, but kind of major, but nothing major. that I want to announce when things are a little bit more formal. Nothing for you guys to get excited about. It's more for me. But again, it incurred a significant fee, and I could do it thanks to all you guys contributing. So the future of Napoli talk can be sustained, and yeah. Anyways, guys, let's get back to the football. Vergara and Gutierrez, they scored together, brought the win for Napoli, says Blue Line. Guys, we've got some incredible left-footed people on this team. I don't think there's many teams out there that are able to have that many left-footed players all on the same field, on the same at the same time. Now, I want to speak to you guys a little bit about Gutierrez because he's actually been playing on the right-hand side. And I understand why Conte wanted to do that. He wants to kind of replicate what he had with Politano, even though Gutierrez is more defensive minded than Politano. I have to admit, I did not enjoy the way that Gutierrez was playing in the last few games. I don't think this is his natural position. I honestly would have put Spinazzola on the right and Gutierrez on the left. But that moment there where he scored the goal, cutting into his left foot. I mean, Conte's right in the end. He he didn't want to lose that optionality of cutting inside with the left foot from the right hand side. And all I think it took was for Gutierrez to get a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more courageous, and he pulled the bunny out of the hat. What does that tell you, though, about Politano, right? If a guy who's more defensive minded, who's only played there 3 or 4 games, ends up scoring a goal, and Politano hasn't scored in like 50 games, trying the same technique over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. He's statistically the worst shooter in Europe in the last like 50 or so games. What does that tell you about Politano? If even a defender like Gutierrez is able to score a goal like that. So, look, guys, at the end of the day, I'm not complaining. I'm glad that that's happened. But, questions need to be asked now about what do we do with our wingers? Because Vergara has to stay and has to be a starter. Politano, I mean, he's had a worse output than Gutierrez in three games being in that position. Neither of those, I think, are options for the future, but it just shows that we need to get a player of the level of Vergara in that right-hand side position. Some of you guys will say that's Neres, but Neres is too injury prone. We'll call him Vergaradona. Vergaradona, or yeah, I mean, look, we've had that with Kvaradona. I don't mind doing this with Vergara, but I kind of just like Vergara being Vergara for now. Vergara is, is a Napolitan kid, so I'm happy for that name to be the name. I'm happy for it to just be Vergara, or if you guys want to call it Vergaradona, fine. I've heard people say Kvargara even, which I think is a horrible idea. Let's not put Kvara into this. I mean, I love Kvara, or I loved Kvara, but let's not go back there. Now, Adi's saying Meret saved at least 2 goals today. The team was incredible, but Meret deserves a dedicated credit for his performance today. The season was not kind to him until that moment, and I even thought that he would get injured. But guys, this is an incredible piece of bad luck as well, because we'll go over it in the match analysis. No, but Meret saves the first header, which then gets pushed onto the post. I believe that Meret saves it, right? The action continues, and 10 seconds later, Di Lorenzo gets injured. Now, imagine a scenario, imagine the multiverse where Meret actually doesn't save it, the ball hits the post and goes in, and Fiorentina get the 1-1. They get a goal. Then it would be 1-1, but maybe we wouldn't have had the Di Lorenzo injury. And it's one of those things where you just get so unlucky the moment after, you did something, I think, incredible. It was an incredible save by Meret. And it's just the way that this season is going, guys. It's just the way that it is at the moment. Vergaradona lives. Hojlund works extremely hard and links play superbly, but he just isn't a natural goal scorer. I'm not sure if he can be relied on as the main goal getter after Lukaku leaves in the summer. I think Hojlund, is one of those things where we just got to still give him a little bit of time to reach his full potential. He's still only 22. I think it's foolish to try and get another striker and then what? He might perform like Luca. I mean, nowadays, if you want the best strikers, and by the way, those are Osimhen, which we already had, Haaland, that we cannot get, and Mbappe. If you want those three, well, it's impossible for different reasons. Otherwise, you go to the level a little bit below, and you're still gonna have to pay like 80, 90 million, and maybe it doesn't work out, or what happens if they get injured. So I might as well stick with Hojlund. I know he's gonna deliver 15 goals a season, and he's gonna be instrumental for the other teammates because, as you say himself, no, he works extremely hard, he links up superbly, and he's got so much growth still in him. And we'll see it as well in Vergara's goal, for example, how it was his movement that opened up the space for Vergara. So, as long as he's contributing to the goal in some way, I'm happy with that. Ref was tripping. How did he ignore Vergara getting his nose smashed in? That to me is crazy. That to me is so crazy because, look, I understand if the referee maybe didn't see it because the action went so fast, no, and the players were running away from the referee, and so maybe the bodies were, let's say, overlapped, and if I hit someone like this with my elbow and the referee is on the other side, maybe the image is hidden, fine, I understand that while it's happening. But then you see that, first of all, there should be a fourth official or a linesman that should see it, at least the fourth official, because it happened in front of the fourth official. But then you see that the guy has a nosebleed. At that point, you know that something happened. And VAR should be able to tell you in the ears, yeah, look, it was an elbow. And I know that VAR shouldn't intervene with these kind of things, but this is a clear and obvious mistake. The situation is the player is getting treatment, so there's all the time in the world to have a conversation with VAR, and VAR can say, look, it's not a red card, but you missed it, this is a clear yellow, give him a yellow, and it adds no extra time to the actual game. I mean, look, it's one of those really strange things where I don't think we're using VAR the right way. I think there are so many clear and obvious mistakes that happen in the midfield that have an influence on the game, a very big influence on the game. And for whatever reason, the rules don't allow it. Part of that influence, for example, is the fact that Vergara had to be taken off a few minutes later because, he had lost his senses after that. And we put on Giovane, and because of that, we almost conceded twice with Giovane, and we'll see that later in the analysis. So, yeah, guys, it's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me how some of these things work, and still Napoli is getting horrible treatment from the referees. But look, we all know that. We all know that. Raptor Knight says, what a performance from the boys and Vergaradona scoring again, but terrible day for us and Di Lorenzo. I pray God heals Di Lorenzo as fast as possible. Speedy recovery. Look, at Di Lorenzo's age, well past 30, probably around 30. What is Di Lorenzo, like 33? Di Lorenzo's 32, turning 33 in August. It's not going to be an easy recovery, guys. You know, we're talking 6 to 9 months. So we're gonna see him at the start of next season, if we're lucky, right? Maybe in August he might be ready, but forget about the World Cup, which is a huge shame for this player. Look, I don't think Di Lorenzo, you know, is is the reason that that Napoli or Italy will win uh, trophies and all. Like, I don't think he's the best player on the field, but he's still an important player. And for the guy personally, I just feel really bad. You know, we can talk about the mistakes that he does on the field. We can talk about his lack of personality at times. But at the end of the day, he's a good guy, and maybe too much of a good guy. And while that's not always the best thing on the football field, it sucks when a good guy gets shafted. It's not something that he deserves. So it's a shame. It's a shame that that's happened. Um, so yeah, let's see. Yeah, Hoyland is tired and needs a rest. I mean, guys, there's nobody. There's nobody to replace him with. There was Luca, and he's in Nottingham Forest. Lukaku doesn't have any minutes in him. All of you guys, I remember a month ago, were saying, "Oh, how are they gonna play together, guys?" Lukaku, maybe in March, end of March, he'll start a game, maybe. But I think Hoyland still has another month and a half that he has to carry this team. Ambrosino out of the squad because his agent was saying that he was saying a lot of different things. You know, Giuffredi is always talking to the media. I don't know why this guy thinks that he can say everything he wants without consequences. He told his players, Marianucci and Ambrosino. Did I say Gaetano? I think I meant to say Ambrosino. He told Marianucci and Ambrosino not to train in protest, thinking that it would somehow make Conte, change his mind about playing them for more minutes. Instead, Conte decided that they're out of the squad, which is fair, right? They thought that they had the upper hand because Conte doesn't have players available to him. Instead, Conte doesn't care. If he needs to play other people, he'll play other people. But he's not gonna get blackmailed by an agent. And in fact, Marianucci now signed for Torino, and I'm sure that Ambrosino as well will head out somewhere else. I don't think this guy can ever play for Conte again, which is a shame. It's a shame, but it is what it is. Now that we've got one game a week, the players can rest up well, and hopefully we can grind out results. Hopefully, but look, it's not even that simple, right? We have Napoli Como as well in the Coppa Italia at some point later in 10 days, right? So it's not easy. It's not easy, guys. We have now, 1 week to rest. Next Saturday we play against Genoa, but 3 days later we're up against Como again, and then after that we've got Roma. So we have 1 week now to rest. Finally, we have a week, but we still have a midweek game coming up relatively soon. Then you could say, fine, from then onwards, then it's a little bit more spread out, right? And the Coppa Italia is not going to be every single week, but I think there's still a lot of games relatively to play in the next few weeks because of that midweek fixture. And yeah, let's see when the rest of the squad recovers. I haven't seen any sign of Anguissa, Gilmore, De Bruyne. I haven't seen any sign of these guys coming back anytime soon. It's a bit of a mystery. Anguissa was expected to come back. They were saying even for the Juventus game, and it seems like he's got like an hernia problem now. I have no idea what's going on with the Napoli situation with the doctors. I mean, it's incredible. But yeah, guys, it it is what it is. It is what it is. What I want to do is now I want to move over to the player ratings, guys. I missed doing this with you, going over the key moments in the game. So, and Matteo Tadei is right. Conte does need to be accountable for these injuries. What I want to go is go through the key moments in the game, and I just want to make sure that we recap everything that happened, guys. So first of all, first half, this moment here with Antonio Vergara, for me, this was already a penalty. Like 2 minutes into the game, this for me, Comuzzo takes Vergara's leg from behind. You see it in the replay that his muscle like jiggles. I don't know what else to say. I know that sounds a bit weird, but the muscle moves from the contact with Comuzzo behind, and he doesn't get the ball. So for me, this is a penalty similar to the one that Di Lorenzo had against Inter. But we know that unless we die on the football field, the referees are not going to give us anything this season. We know that, so we move on. And we go to the moment of the game, guys. The moment of the game. Sorry, we go to the moment of the game, guys, which is Vergara's goal. Long ball from Meret, which as well needs to be highlighted because it's not just Milinkovic Savic that can throw the ball or shoot the ball far. But look at Hojlund. No, the way that he's able to win the space is incredible. No, he backs up as the ball's coming in, guys. He backs up the defender, opening the space between the two central defenders. The other central defender can't get any closer because you've got Gutierrez on the other side, that's pushing forward. And, Hojlund does this so well. This is something that Haaland from Man City as well does. If you see videos from Haaland, first he wins his duel against the defender. Then he goes for the ball. Whereas many strikers, many people, what they do is that they first try to get to the ball, and then when they have possession, they see how they can, win against the defender. No, first win your duel against the defender. Push him with your body away from the area that you want to attack, from the space that you want to attack. What actually ends up happening is that Vergara comes in from behind and steals this ball from Hojlund. But if it wasn't Vergara there, Hojlund would have gotten the ball himself. And, it's something that Lukaku does super well. Conte has been explaining to him, and he's gotten so good at this. But look, Vergara goes into the space in between the two defenders and then beats De Gea. Guys, De Gea doesn't even try to dive, and we're talking about a very good goalkeeper here, right? De Gea, I know he's old, but he's still got it in him, right? He still makes good saves, and yet Vergara perfectly positions that strike into the bottom left corner, and it's 1-0 for Napoli, guys. And this image here of Vergara is just iconic. He goes to the curva B, opens up his arms like this, then drops back down, admiring the fans, like the gladiator, thinking, are you not entertained? And yeah, guys, this is what dreams are made of. No, this is a guy who grew up wanting to play for Naples, and finally, he's now earned his spot in the team, scored twice underneath the curva B. It's incredible. No, it's the dream of everybody that that has grown up in the city, and I'm so glad for Vergara that he gets to experience this and live this because it's fantastic for him. Um, so yeah, Hoyland was good with De Bruyne and Neres. Look, I still think he's good. I still think that he's good. He basically made this goal. Then Vergara had to do a lot, but I think he did quite well here. Guys, now let's get to another chance that Napoli had, and I just want to emphasize how Napoli was toying with Fiorentina and getting in the right spaces. I think Conte here did one of his best games as a manager, honestly, because the way that we played made it extremely tough for Fiorentina. And let's say they didn't understand anything. Look at when Lobotka has the ball here. Look at the space between, first of all, Lobotka and McTominay, who are supposed to be, the two that are playing in that deep role, but they spread apart vertically. And in between the space, in between the lines, come in Elmas and Vergara, right? So they come in very, very deep in their own half. What does that do? That pulls in the midfielders and even defenders in a space that they don't want to be. And it opens up acres of room behind. And you've got on one side Spinazzola, on the other side Gutierrez, that stay super wide to stretch that Fiorentina defense so that Dodo and the other guy can't come in to fill the gap. And it creates this incredible gap that again Vergara exploits, and Elmas here receives the ball, plays in Vergara, and if the ball was slightly better timed, or if it was slightly better, Vergara could have put it down on the floor and pushed on forward. Instead, it just bounces a little bit in an awkward situation for him, and it didn't work. But this idea of finding the space in behind Fiorentina, stretching their lines, this is something that Napoli used throughout the game, throughout in different areas of the field, and we did that so well. And we'll see it again in the second half, even in Gutierrez's goal, guys. We'll see that coming up soon. But first, guys, there was this moment, the sliding doors that I was telling you about, with Fiorentina getting a free kick. They hit the post. I do believe that Meret touches the ball. I don't know if you guys saw it from the replay. Maybe you guys not all have the same replays or noticed this moment here, but I do think that Meret grabs a fingertip on it, which makes it go on the post, which keeps the game alive. He then pulls off another incredible save from close range, but unfortunately, this entire thing leads to Di Lorenzo's injury. And again, it's one of those things, like, would we have rather had the goal from Fiorentina but keep Di Lorenzo not injured, or do we keep the goal unviolated? But then this happens, and I feel so bad for Di Lorenzo here. It's tragic. The only thing that I will say is that luckily we are still only, well, not only, but we are still on the 31st of January, which means that we still have a few days, guys, a few days to go into the transfer market and do something about it. By the way, Zanoli, who we gave to Udinese in that same position as Di Lorenzo, also tore his ligament this week. So it's been a very unfortunate week for Napoli and ex-Napoli players who are right backs. What are the odds that both of them tore their ACL in the same week? It just feels really weird. But anyways, what we can do is we can try to get someone in that position, because at the moment, I mean, either we play Mazzocchi whenever he's not injured, or we have to adapt the way that we adapted today, where we played Oliveira, guys, on the right. I mean, this is a very interesting choice as well from Conte. He's basically completely cut off Beukema, a guy that we paid 30 guys. Noah Lang, Lorenzo Lucca, Beukema, the three of them that came this summer, almost 80, 90 million euros in the trash. Guys, in the trash. Because Beukema, who could play as a right center back, didn't feature. Instead, we have Oliveira, who was not even, in the squad plan for Antonio Conte in recent months. Guys, Oliveira became the third choice left back at one point because we have Spinazzola, then Gutierrez, then Oliveira. And I mean, even as a third choice left back, he is still in a higher regard than Beukema when it comes to playing on the other side of the field. I mean, that means that Beukema, probably Conte would rather play like a squirrel or something instead of Beukema. I don't know, but I mean, what's going on there? How is it possible that Beukema doesn't come on for for Di Lorenzo? How is it possible? But look, in the end, I don't really care because Oliveira did the job. He did it well. He was actually one of the better defenders today, but I just do not understand how did it get there? How did we get to this point? Antonio Tonti 8696 says, is there a break in Serie A because of the Olympics? Nope. No, no break. There was the thing about Milan and Como having to play in Australia because the San Siro was being used for one of the events. And obviously, they couldn't find another stadium in Lombardy or in Italy or in Europe. I mean, the closest stadium they found was in Perth, Australia. That was the excuse, the original excuse that they gave, that there wasn't, they literally said that there was no stadium free. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. Just go to the Sassuolo stadium whenever Sassuolo have an away game, just do something. It's incredible. It's incredible. Or Bergamo Stadium. It's wild. Or switch the Milan Como and Como Milan games so that, and they wanted to go to Australia with that pretense. And they thought that we were all stupid, that we would, be like, oh, yeah, sure. That makes sense. That makes sense. They wanted us to say that. Obviously, they're not doing that anymore because obviously there are better solutions out there. But yeah, so no, the Serie A is not stopping. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had that whole issue about the whole Como Milan thing. Napolemica says, compriamo Dragusin o Disasi? So the question is, should we buy Dragusin or Disasi? Look, I think that Dragusin is a no. He had the chance 2 years ago to come to Napoli, and he decided to go for Tottenham. So fine. If that's what you want, then fine by me. Don't come back. Who I do like a lot from the Serie A as a defender is Solet, who's 25 from Udinese. I love Solet as a defender, but it's not what we need right now. In terms of the squad, he's right-footed and everything, and he's played right center back at times, but he's not necessarily what we need. What we need is more, I think, someone that can also play as a right back, because Di Lorenzo's natural position is right back, and now we're in an emergency, and so we're playing three people at the back. But I think there will be a moment where we go back to a 4-3-3 or four at the back. So it needs to be someone who can play as a right back as well, and that's where maybe Juan Luis Sanchez from Sevilla may be a better option. No, where Sevilla don't have great financials, they're gonna wanna sell some players. We were very close to him last summer. The player has already, I think, communicated that he would be open to the transfer. And if he wasn't because Di Lorenzo was in his way, well, guess what? Now Di Lorenzo's not in your way again, or not in your way anymore. So you can come here and play, uninterrupted football. And Sevilla, look, we don't have the money to pay them right now. Not that we don't have the money, we have so much money, but we're not allowed to pay anyone a transfer fee now. But what we can do is pay a small fee, like a 1 or 2 million euro loan fee, and then pay the lump sum in July as soon as the season is over. That's not going to be a problem. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, that was that moment there. I think Napoli responded quite well. Like having your captain go off for injury, knowing that there's another injury into the list, I think it could have killed us, honestly. I think it could have killed us, but instead Napoli did super well to react. And this moment here from Elmas, showed me that just a few minutes later, does the serpentina, as we say in Italian, like the snake, goes through a few defenders and unfortunately gets blocked. But it would have been a really good goal, and it would have been finally Elmas showing the real Elmas. I think there was, in the past few months, not the real Elmas, not the one that we know from 2 years ago. I know he's been important, playing in lots of different positions, but the real Elmas is this one, the one that drives with the ball forward, that takes risk, that dribbles past players. And finally, we saw a little bit of that today. Juan Luis Sanchez, best option in my honest opinion, says Napolemica. Yeah, I think so too. And he was linked to us as well in recent days. So yeah, I hope Manna is doing something there. Guys, now I want to show you a little bit the second goal that Napoli scored. Again, long ball towards Hojlund. He does super well to control it. There's, I think, Comuzzo behind him. He manages to actually get some space from Comuzzo, passes it to Vergara, and look at how Vergara, Elmas, and Gutierrez are in between the Fiorentina lines, ready to take the ball. Look, Fiorentina could not handle, the Napoli midfield because we had basically 5 against 2, because you have McTominay, Lobotka, Vergara, Elmas, and Gutierrez. That, Elmas and Gutierrez in that position, sometimes even Spinazzola, they go forward, they come down to the middle, and Fiorentina only has 2 players there, so we were always in a numerical advantage. We could always find some space in between the lines. And then when he receives the ball from Vergara, so by the way, Vergara assist here, when he receives the ball from Vergara, everybody pushes towards the box, and they leave Gutierrez completely alone for the 1-against-1. And, there's this entire space for Gutierrez to tap into. He's very clever to recognize this and takes on his man, gets into that space, and then by the time Fiorentina realized, with I think Fagioli there, when they realize that they need to cover that space, it's too late. He doesn't get there in time. He's stretching his leg, but doesn't matter. Gutierrez has already set his sights on goal, finds the corridor to put the ball in the back of the net. But it all goes back to how Napoli used the space again. I mean, we did that so well today, like understanding where to tap into. So these players, I think, and Conte, I think, had one of the best tactical games of the season. You know, how to dominate, how to pick on your enemy's worst aspects, which is that Fiorentina are all over the place defensively, but really making the most of it. And I think to some extent Fiorentina underestimated Gutierrez here. They didn't expect him maybe to take on the defender like he did. They probably thought that he was either gonna, you know, go to the right or cut all the way back to the left. They didn't really think that he would go and, let's say, penetrate the box like he did. Napolenica says, I'm afraid Waluxwaz is coming. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so that's how I'm going to pronounce it. If anybody can pronounce this name, maybe if you are, I don't know, Polish, then send me an audio on Instagram or something. But I have no idea how to say that name. Look, I hope whoever comes is someone that doesn't get injured. that's honestly the minimum. That's kind of what I wanted from Giovane, no? Same for whoever comes in for Di Lorenzo. I just hope the guy doesn't get injured. It's pronounced Walukiewicz. Walukiewicz. I would have never gotten to that conclusion, so thank you. Thank you. The Komutso handball, no VAR check. Yeah, look, of course. But that moment there, that the ball was on the ground, I think that those are moments where if I were refereeing, I wouldn't give a handball because the guy is like kind of holding his body up with his hand and the ball strikes, if I saw it correctly. The problem is that if that happened against us, they would give the penalty. That's the only problem. I hope we don't get that Polish guy from Sassuolo. He's a butcher of a defender. You know who's really good from Sassuolo as a defender? Doig. Doig is very, very good. I loved seeing Doig play. 23 years old from Scotland. He is, however, a left back instead of a right back. And surprisingly, he doesn't have goals or assists this season. But the two times that I've seen him play against Napoli, both the first game of the season and a few weeks ago, that guy was a train down that left-hand side. I don't know if somehow this guy could be converted to the right. Probably not, right? And why would we ruin something like that? But I would love to have someone like him on the right, maybe even Dodo, from Fiorentina. I mean, the guy played well today as well. He's quick. So yeah, maybe Dodo from Fiorentina. But I think the likely scenario is that we go take someone outside of the Serie A. Right, guys, now let's get to the goal, and we start with Dodo from Fiorentina. I mean, what a segue, guys. What a segue I was able to do here. But look, Dodo from Fiorentina takes the ball in between Spinazzola and Lobotka, and here we are too soft. Here, guys, when you're a Napoli player, no? And you see that one of the other players from the other team is going to break through your line and you have a chance to do something about it, you got to tackle that guy. You got to I don't care how you stop him. You rugby tackle that guy. You don't make him go through the lines. This is the same way that Leao scored against us with Milan all the way back in 2023. This is the same type of thing that happened against Chelsea, where we let Joao Pedro, we put the red carpet for Joao Pedro. Instead, here, guys, just end the action. Take the yellow card. It's fine. It's fine. Take the yellow card. Instead, we let him go through. Dodo plays the through ball. By the way, look at Buongiorno. He's not playing the offside line. Fine, I can accept it. You don't always have to play the offside line. Even though, in my opinion, here, you should. because the way that the striker is making the run, you have full visibility of where your partner defender is and of the striker, so you can play it better. But fine, you don't want to play the offside line, fine, don't play it. But then, because you have a 1 meter advantage to the ball, my expectation is that you don't get beat. Instead, he gets beat. He even tries to put in a tackle that is very similar to the one that he did against Copenhagen that got them a penalty last week. And here, I think credit to Fiorentina for not going down easily. And Meret actually makes the save. That's the crazy thing. Meret makes the save. I don't think he's at fault with the rebound. It's very difficult from that position to rebound it anywhere else. You just have to make a save and hope for the best. It's not like a long range shot that you have the chance to push it away to the side. This is someone coming in from 45 degrees. It's very difficult to decide where to play the ball. And Fiorentina score. Payman says, do you think Scudetto is still possible? No, I don't think it is. I'll be honest, guys. I don't think it is. We are very far away from the Scudetto. Now it's 6 points, but Inter play against Cremonese and it will be 9. I think, will the gap be 9 points by the end? I think actually we will get closer, but it will be 4 or 5 points. It'll be 4 or 5 points. Unless Inter, before March, so in the next month, unless they drop points, and I mean serious points, like if they drop more than one, if they mess up more than one game, if they drop 4 to 6 points in the next month, then it gets very interesting and we put the pressure on. But if there's 9 points in it, by the time March comes, they'll find a way to manage resources from then. We wait for Inter's glorious collapse in late April, early May. I mean, look, I hope so, right? I mean, what can I say? I would be the happiest guy if it does happen, but I'm not gonna kid you guys. It's gonna be super difficult. It's gonna be super difficult. Anyways, Fiorentina score, guys. Hojlund misses. This is where some of you guys were saying that Hojlund maybe didn't have his best game. Fine. As I said, I loved the way that he held up play today yet again, so I don't mind this missed shot, but definitely he's not going to get a 10 out of 10 in the player ratings. And then this moment here with Vergara, I mean, the guy gets elbowed, as we said earlier on. Like, referee, maybe you didn't see it because of the way that the bodies were. Maybe they were impacting your line of sight, but there's a fourth official, there's the linesman, there's the VAR that I know that by law cannot intervene in these cases. But for me, this is borderline violent conduct. I mean, this is not a coming together like any other. I mean, many players get a hand in the face and they just go on the ground and pretend like they're hurt. This is actually bleeding. The guy had to come off a few minutes later. So for me, this is borderline violent conduct. It's a hit in the head. The referee, go to the VAR room or go to the VAR screen and at least check it out. And if you need to give a yellow card, you give a yellow card, if not a red. But it's impossible that we are so stuck on the protocols that we lose sight of common sense. This is I think the issue number one with society as a whole. Like, I'm going even beyond football, but we get so stuck on protocols that we forget about common sense. Like the other day, guys, maybe you guys don't know this because there's not actually a lot of Italians on the chat, but for the Olympics, the buses around the area of the Olympics, the ticket for the buses went up from like €2 to €10. Why? Because they want to make money for the Olympics and from tourists. What happened? There was an 11-year-old boy who was leaving school and needed to get on this bus to go home. He didn't have the updated ticket that was 10 euros. He only had the €2 ticket. So the bus driver didn't allow him to get on the bus, and the poor kid had to walk 6 kilometers on foot in the cold. By the way, in the town where they're doing the Winter Olympics, so in the cold, he arrived home with hypothermia. Why? Because people are so fixated on protocol. Oh, you need a certain ticket, that you don't think about common sense. You don't think that it's 0 degrees outside. The guy is 11 years old. Not everybody got the chance to update their tickets. It's not like it's this kid's fault. It's not like the parents did it on purpose. It's a special event. The bus driver didn't have common sense because of protocol, because maybe he was scared of breaking protocol. I don't know what the consequences would be, but it's the same thing that happens here with VAR. Just use common sense. I don't care what the protocol says if you have to break it. This is a clear example of I know it's not a VAR worthy moment by protocol, but by common sense it is. And the referee should be able to say to VAR, I didn't see it. I realized that it could be a violent conduct. So let me open up the discussion with VAR instead of having VAR come down. Because if those guys from the VAR room don't have common sense, at least one of the referees on the field should. But look, guys, this is society as a whole, and this is why most people whatever. I don't want to get into that, but this is, for me, one of the stupidest things in all of football, the use of VAR. And it's something that Antonio Conte also says a lot, like VAR should be a tool, and tools should be there to help and assist. Let's not put random laws that make no sense. It should just be whenever there's a clear mistake, you use it, and that's it. And it doesn't matter whether it's in the box or not. Anyways, let's move on to the fact that because Vergara got this thing that happened to him, we had to put Giovane from Verona. Okay, now fine, we put him on. I have no problem with having him play. Of course he should play. What happens? He's marking Piccoli, Fiorentina striker, in this act. Like, we have 3 minutes left of play, and he's the one marking Piccoli. Again, guys, common sense. Piccoli is Fiorentina's number 9, 1 meter 90 tall, like 6'5", basically like Lorenzo Lucca or something like this, against Giovane, who is 1 meter 70 or like 5'7". And apart from the gap in height, Giovane, he's not gonna know how to defend. In fact, Piccoli, who starts behind him, manages to get ahead of him and strike the ball and nearly scores. Again, this goes back to common sense. Guys. There are 2 or 3 dangerous people that Napoli should be looking out for in crosses. Piccoli, Kane, maybe that's it. So let's put Buongiorno, Juan Jesus, Oliveira, or even Scott McTominay on these guys. Not Giovane. It doesn't make sense. The matchup doesn't make sense. Again, this is players sticking too much to, I'm a right-sided player, so I need to mark the guy on the left side of Fiorentina. Guys, break the rules. Use common sense. If the guy is a foot taller than you, Ask to change with another teammate or Conte, like do something, but we cannot do that. Anyways, the same guy, Giovane. I don't wanna, hate on this guy. Like, I'm gonna end up being like professional hater of all the wingers that come to Napoli, no? But we are in the 93rd minute, point 45. We have 15 minutes left of the game. You have the ball here. Bro, just go to the corner flag. Just take it to the corner flag and keep the ball for 10 seconds. The referee then needs to blow the final whistle. Instead, what does he try to do? He tries to be a little too Brazilian, a little bit of yoga bonito, and he loses, like with this thing here, and he loses the ball. Even if this pass were to arrive to Gutierrez, it's a difficult ball for Gutierrez after he's been playing 93 minutes to control. And you just expose Gutierrez at this point. So this is a stupid ball. This is a ball without common sense. Again, we are there back talking about common sense and the lack of common sense that people have, which is incredible. Because these are people at the highest level, and it's incredible to me that you can arrive at the highest level without common sense. But anyways, you play this pass. Even if you make it, it's very risky. Instead, he messes up. It goes to Fiorentina. Fiorentina recover the ball. And look where the ball is 20 seconds later. Instead of the referee blowing the whistle in our corner or in Fiorentina's corner flag, you give them a chance to attack you. You force your team to do another defensive play. And luckily, Kane or Keane or however you want to pronounce his name doesn't score. But it all starts with this stupid decision here. It's incredible, guys. I mean, we have a capacity at Napoli to identify the stupidest people and give them a contract. I mean, this is the type of stuff that Noah Lang would do. And it's no wonder why he left for Galatasaray. No wonder. Because guys, if he was good, and it was just Napoli that didn't appreciate him, there would have been another good European team that would have wanted him. Because there are 20 teams in the top 5 leagues that could afford to pay 2 million in loan, and if he's good, then also buy him outright. 20 teams, and yet he has to go to Galatasaray. Why? Because Galatasaray, like us, is happy to accept people with very little in between their years. You know, they have Icardi, Osimhen, they had Zaniolo. I mean, these guys are the masters. I mean, if we are good at finding people without something in their brain, Galatasaray is next level, no? But this is the only place where these players can play. You cannot do this in the Serie A. I mean, imagine we lose or we lost the win because of this. So Conte needs to get into Giovane's head and say, Giovane, young man, this thing, cut it out. Cut it out or you will end up like Noah Lang. You will play in Galatasaray if you're lucky. If not, Fenerbahce or Besiktas, but in that league. It's incredible. It's incredible, guys. Anyways, let's go to the player ratings. You'll see the graphics a little bit different. I spent some time changing the graph. I hope you like it. It's a lot cleaner, I think, than what we had before. And look, I think Giovane here is a very lucky boy that I'm trying to be nice to him. I gave him the benefit of the doubt that he's new, that he only played 5 minutes, so I didn't give him a score. But if I really had to, he would have a 3 out of 10 for those 5 minutes that he played. By the way, I couldn't find the photo online of Giovane with a Napoli shirt. Why? Because Lega Serie A still hasn't uploaded one, even though he's been with us for more than 10 days. Um, so yeah, apologies. He's gonna have a Verona shirt. It's technically not wrong. He's still a Verona player on loan from us. So until they make a photo shoot with him, I'm gonna keep it like that. Vergara, guys, very very good performance. Some of you guys didn't like Hojlund today, but I thought that he was fantastic, holding up play, allowing the others to do well. And Meret as well deserves a huge shout out. Meret and Gutierrez, Meret for keeping a clean sheet. Gutierrez, well, not keeping a clean sheet, but doing what he could have to potentially keep a clean sheet. Then they scored a rebound, fine. So, maybe that's half a point less, but otherwise it would have been an 8 out of 10. Gutierrez, 8 out of 10 for, finally unlocking that next level that he needed to unlock with getting a goal contribution. And the others, more or less an average performance. Maybe Buongiorno struggled a little bit to deal with the defenders, and I think the goal was partly his fault. Conte, 7 out of 10. He had to do, he had very little to do actually. He had to pick this starting 11. I gave him 1 point, and I think we played one of the best games tactically. As I said, I loved it, but maybe 1 point less for the way that he's handling the dressing room, in the sense that I think this game kills Belkema, guys. Or at least if I was Belkema, I would feel like I don't have the trust of the coach anymore. And I think that when you have such limited number of players, this is dangerous. So I don't think putting Oliveira was the right call. Even if Oliveira played well, I think you have to put trust in Belkema if Di Lorenzo goes out injured. Striking, Vin 416. A striker should be able to score goals, not hold up play. If he scored the goal, there was not going to be any pressure. Guys, Hojlund scored 3 days ago. It's not like the guy doesn't score. He scored against Chelsea. So we're not talking about a guy who has not scored in 10 games. We're talking about a guy who scored Wednesday. So I have no problem with Hojlund. And if a striker doesn't score, but he is directly involved in the other two goals, then for me, that's fine. I mean, the striker, it doesn't matter who scores. It doesn't matter. I want a striker like Higuain or Cavani that can finish the game on their own. Fine. I would love that too. I mean, I agree. Cavani and Higuain are at the top level. I agree with you. But guys, Cavani and Higuain, we're talking about the elite. Elite. Hojlund is not there yet, but he's 22. When we had Higuain, he was not 22. Or when we had Cavani, he was not 22. Guys, we have to nurture still Hojlund to arrive at that level. So it's not his fault that he's not that clinical. And nowadays, to get a striker that is at that level, we would have to spend so much money that with all the other emergencies that we have, I think we're better off spending it somewhere else. I agree. I know that you're not hating and we need more. I mean, look, this is how I feel about a lot of our players. Like, I don't hate them, but we do need more. We need more than Politano. We need more than Juan Jesus. We need more than a lot of these players. We do. I agree. But at the moment, they're doing the job. They're doing the bare minimum. So it's fine. What we need is numbers to fill in for Di Lorenzo. What we need is midfielders, because McTominay and Lobotka, guys, have been doing the entirety of January every single minute. And we knew that this was going to be the case. And yet Napoli didn't do anything to help the midfield. We could have bought a midfielder on loan the 1st of January, and we didn't do it. So I know where Napoli's priorities are, and trust me, they are not in the striker position in this January transfer window. They are, or they should be, elsewhere, and even then we didn't react. So yeah, exactly. Who knows what Hojlund can do later? Who knows? 1 goal in 7 to 8 games. Yeah, but there was a period where he was scoring more consistently, right? Where he did have like 5 or 6 goals in 7, 8 games. So he's a little bit, he's got these kind of ebbs and flows. So I agree with you. He's not consistent. He's not Higuain 36 goals in a season. I get it, man. I get it. But Higuain, guys, Higuain was a different level. We're talking like a good cook versus a 3-star Michelin chef, you know? And I'm not saying that Hojlund will not reach that, but give him the time to cook, okay, is what I'm saying. Give him time to cook. Anyways, guys, Conte press conference. Look, I had the chance to read Conte's press conference before I went live. All I'm gonna say is I'm not gonna read it out. I'm gonna summarize it. I'm gonna say the few things that are worth noting, which is the fact that he laments the fact that we played so many games in, I think it was 7 or 8 games in 21 days, something like this, and that he says that this contributes to the Di Lorenzo injury. As I said earlier in the video, I'm not a huge believer of that, because this was an injury that it's about how you land. It's not a physical thing like you tore your muscle. So I'm not a huge believer in that, even though fatigue maybe plays a part. But we're talking about the first half of a game, so I don't think there was that much fatigue. Yeah, he says that this could have contributed. Then he says that the guys, he liked the performance, but we could have been more clinical with some of the chances that we had, which is what you guys are saying about Hojlund. And yeah, this is what he said. Foster Buster 2840 says Luis Hasa è un altro non considerato, sottovalutato dal mago del pallone. So to translate, Luis Hasa, which was a guy that we had in preseason training that played a few minutes, a few games, was actually quite good, was one of the best players in preseason training for us. He's saying is another one that is not being considered and underestimated or undervalued by the mago del pallone, by the magician of football, like the scientist, Conte, like the know-it-all of football, Conte. So I agree. Luis Hasa, I think, is a good player. He did well in preseason training, and if you think about the number of players that make up a team, I really don't understand why we didn't keep him, because if we wanted to start the season with the 4 midfielders, De Bruyne, Lobotka, Anguissa, and McTominay, then in theory we should have had 4 midfielders as backup, no? And actually we only have Elmas and Billy Gilmore, right? So the math is not mathing. We should have had at least, I think, Luis Haza, who, by the way, doesn't contribute to the squad list because he's a homegrown player. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. But look, this guy, I think he's quite good. He's playing in Serie B at the moment, 15 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. he's not always started. He maybe starts every 2 out of 3 games. Uh, but I think part of the reason why he doesn't start is maybe because of small injuries here and there. But usually when he's fit, he plays the entire time. And I think he's actually scored a goal today against Venezia, even though they lost. So he's someone that I think has value. He's doing well, um, and yeah, I mean he's doing his career in Serie B. Maybe next year he's ready for the step up to Serie A. Why not? Um, but look, we know how Napoli thinks about their own players, right? I mean, we never seem to really trust them, right? It's like with Vergara, he's a great player, and only now in an emergency we've started to trust him. So, so yeah, guys. Anyways. Artie says, "Thank you. What can we do to promote your YouTube channel, guys? Smashing the like button and subscribing is the number one way that you guys can help, because the algorithm thinks, oh, okay, these guys actually like the content. The next thing you can do is you can tell your dog, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your friends. I mean, there's not that much else, guys. I don't expect you guys to promote my channel. Like, it's fine. If you want to put a link out on social media, like, hey guys, watch this, then that's fine. But I don't expect I don't expect you guys to do more marketing effort than I do myself. Like, I don't even market myself. um Maybe I should. Maybe I should reinvest some of the money that I get from YouTube ads into this. Put that 10 euros a month into marketing. Let's see what happens. But yeah, this is a good way for us Napoli fans to express ourselves. Exactly, this is what I want to do. And I put comments of everybody. Like the ones that I agree with, the ones that I don't agree with. I try to give members a little bit more space, obviously. But even if you're not a member, then I also, if I read your comment, I put it out there. I can't read everybody's comments though, unfortunately, because, well, then it would be a book club where I'm just reading, no? So yeah, Jesse says, Di Lorenzo with a reported torn ACL. That's horrible. Say what you want about his form, but having a player who plays as many minutes as him plus team captain, his absence will be costly. Yeah, yeah. I think more than the captain aspect, it will be the fact that he's just usually been such a reliable guy. But sometimes it's like this that you stretch the rubber band too much, you play with your luck too much, and that's it. And yeah, it's a shame. I think that from a leadership point of view, he will be less missed, because on the field I don't think that he is the best captain. Maybe behind the scenes in the dressing room, how he helps people adapt, how he, you know, the maybe the work ethic that he puts into training, maybe that is more something that players can look up to. But I think him being, I mean, he's still going to be in Naples. He's not going to not show his face in training. He's going to be there working in the gym. He's going to be close to the players. It's not like De Bruyne, who got injured and decided to disappear to Belgium for 6 months, which is something that, by the way, like, you are still under contract for Napoli. I mean, I understand that you are injured, but bro, you are still under contract for Napoli. You need to be in Naples. You are recovering from injury. is part of your job, and your job, you do it in Naples because you're a Napoli player. And especially if you're a player like De Bruyne, that you have this experience and leadership that you can pass on to other people, especially if you're that kind of player, you stay in Naples so that you can contribute to the team, so that you feel the atmosphere, so that you can give a piece of advice to someone. So yeah, look, this is a thing that I'm super disappointed about with uh with with De Bruyne. I think with Di Lorenzo, it's not gonna be like that. He's not gonna go to his hometown. Maybe he'll go for a week and that's it. But I'm pretty sure Di Lorenzo, being the serious captain that he is, he's gonna do his rehab in Naples and that's it. Inter will drop points, says Paul. Napoli are still in it. If they hang tough with 3-4 games, things will look a little bit more promising. No margin for error. Okay, so here's the thing. Could we be within touching distance of Inter over the next few weeks? Yeah. Maybe Inter drop points. Maybe even tomorrow. And we go back to 6 points. Maybe they drop it again and they go back to 3. And we will feel like we're in a title fight. There will be hope, and maybe we will be in a title fight. But to then go out and actually overtake Inter, Inter would have to mess up 3 times. With 1 or 2 times, we will feel like we're back in it. But to actually win it, guys, they will have to mess up 3 times. That's a lot. That's a lot. I don't want to give you guys that hope. I just don't. I cannot sit here today and give you guys that hope. As I said, will we get closer to them? I do think so. I do think that we will drop less points than them moving forward. Playing only 1 time a week, eventually players will come back. Fine. Will we recover 9? Maybe we'll recover 4 or 5. But 9, difficult. No despair without hope. Napoli talk watch parties. So yes, this year maybe we could do one, because this year I have abandoned the pirate life. So I'm actually watching games as the game is happening and not 3 minutes behind. Which means that I could potentially do a watch along without you guys being 3 minutes early to whatever I'm watching if you're watching on TV. So maybe yes, so maybe I can do that. But if I do a watch along, then and I'm gonna be, commenting the game with you guys and all that, I'm not gonna be able to do the analysis, to do the player ratings. Like this is something that like I do because I'm in my zone, when I'm watching. But if I'm entertaining, then I'm entertaining, and there's gonna be maybe a separate video for that, which will be maybe a day after, or whatever, for the analysis and player ratings. So just FYI. But yeah, guys, if all of you guys, how about this? Let's do something. And thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Raf is art 5833. How about this? If you guys really want me to do a watch along, then in the next live, not this one, in the next live, I'm going to put a goal for the live. And if I have X many people that sign up to that goal, then and supporters for that goal, then I will do it. But not this one, the next one. The next live, we will set it up. Okay? Right, guys. So with that, thank you guys for all the support, for your donations, for your likes, for your subscribers, for your subs, for your clicking the sub thing. Thank you for all that. I appreciate it. Finally, Napoli are back to winning ways. Finally, I'm back to making live videos with you guys, and I love to hear each and every one of you. So with that, guys, that's everything from me. Have a good rest of the day. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, see you next time for the next one next weekend, same time. Ciao.